Today was the official Steel Ball Run press conference where we got all kinds of new information and teasers, including the trailer, the main cast voice actors, and the release window, all revealed for Steel Ball Run. So let's get into it all, starting with the animation trailer. We kick things off with Steven Steele speaking at the real Steel Ball Run press conference, followed by a wide shot of the stage where the mini horse race is nowhere to be seen. But the environment and crowd does look filled out and colorful, no sign of any grayed out background characters anywhere, and we see the iconic hot air balloons up in the sky for the spectators. We then get a title sequence and can clearly hear a Yugo Kanno music track, possibly the main theme of the part, which sounds just as on point as Kanno always adapts his sound to fit whatever new stage JoJo is set in that really helps bring the world to life and enhance the experience through just some killer sounds. And now enters our main characters, starting with Gyro Zeppeli, who brandishes his steel ball, and we get a classic JoJo still image impact, but it's nice to see how the environment will look at sundown, as most of this trailer is really bright and set just before the race begins. We then see Johnny Joestar in all of his glory, followed by a color-shifted blue gyro, and these characters look near identical to the key visuals shown earlier this year, more so than I expected, so whatever you thought of those designs are more or less what's in the final version. We then finally get to see some animation, and it's by no means any Sakuga, as we see Johnny wheel into high speed and then mount Slow Dancer. And I won't lie to you guys, when I first saw this trailer, my initial gut reaction was mostly an oh no, and this feeling didn't really waver as it continued. But there is still some greatness here with Gyro's iconic grill flash. We see Diego Brando, Lucy Steele, and some of the horse racing, but that's about it. No stands or much action, just the very start of the race. But no Poco Loco or Sandman felt kinda strange, as I feel like those characters are iconic to the start of Steel Ball Run. Practically the whole first chapter is about Sandman, so not seeing them here or even on the beach was just kinda weird. And there really wasn't any Easter eggs to other racers. The whole beach is just the same 4 guys and horses copy and pasted 100 times, all wearing the same cowboy hat. No wonder the Steel Ball Run hat shop is still in business 100 years later. This guy must have made a fortune during this time. So I'm mostly just being a little silly. I get the copy and paste reasoning for it, and it makes production sense for this quick scene. But it is also kinda lame, being one of the few shots in this first teaser trailer and completely lacks the scale from the original scene in the manga. Even the takeoff is just a little flat. So for an anime trailer, there was a surprising lack of animation, but I feel like part of my disappointment was my own expectations, thinking, well, it's Steel Ball Run, of course it's gonna look incredible, and I had this big vision in my head, and now we have the trailer, and it's a new season of JoJo that looks like JoJo, so it's not too surprising, although I wish they would have shown at least 1 or 2 exceptional shots that we find in a typical episode of JoJo. So this must be some of the most honest marketing I've ever seen before. So I hope they just aren't showing their best hand here, which I understand is a bit naive, as when we get to see the horses in motion, we can almost immediately see that they're using CGI, which is something I expected. It's kind of crazy to think they wouldn't, but it's not all CGI, just when there's 100 horses on screen taking off. And this shot of Diego looks a little funky, like the whole character looks 3D. I could be mistaken, this is just my very first reaction, but it looks like a 3D model that's shaded to look more 2D, but you can still kind of tell, and we see that same effect in Gyro's model from behind, where it's a bit more obvious as he's 3D and more detailed next to these less detailed 2D racers. So no doubt the trailer looks a bit shoddy at moments, but great in others. So I hope this is just early production finding their footing, and as the adaptation continues, we see more focus on the character designs and more put into the really iconic moments. As in terms of talent, those people are behind this adaptation. Even our friend of the channel, Grand Gorilla, will be returning to work on this season, who had some of the best looking shots from Stone Ocean and has been working on his own Steel Ball Run fan art and character designs for years that look incredible. So I think it's good and more positive to believe in the future of this adaptation and not judge the whole thing too harshly just based on this teaser. And if you do have any problems with the trailer or how a certain character looks, definitely don't go blame Gorilla. He's just one piece of this larger team where I'm sure everyone is putting their best into this behemoth of an adaptation. And then the final shot of the trailer is Johnny riding along on Slow Dancer with his pouty face on. And in terms of colors, I thought everyone was on point. They're safe and familiar palettes, but still some of the best. And we see the potential for the color shifts with the shot of blue gyro. And those blue eyes are going to take some time to get used to for sure. So now getting into the voice cast, which is all new actors, meaning Johnny isn't Jonathan and Diego's not Dio, although there are some returning JoJo voices. So Johnny Joestar will be played by Shogo Sakata, and I'll throw up on screen their previous characters. Gyro Zeppeli will be played by Yohei Azakami. Diego Brando will be played by Kaito Ishikawa, previously Sale in Golden Wind. Lucy Steele will be voiced by Rei Takahashi, who looks like she'll do great as Lucy looking at her previous roles, and Steven Steele will be voiced by Kenta Miyake, one of the all-time GOATs and previously the voice of Muhammad Avdol. So the voice cast so far is definitely looking rock solid with some new and up-and-coming talent. I just wish we got a few more racers revealed. Where is Hot Pants? Okay, but I guess all in good time. And now that brings us towards the end of the event where they revealed the official Steel Ball Run release date, which is just a vague 2026 as pretty much everyone expected. But they did say hold on just a little longer until it's released, but who knows, that could be 3 months or 9. Sometime around March or April, the spring season would be nice. I feel like that's when JoJo usually started airing, but they could also be waiting for September 25th, 2026 for a very ceremonial start for the adaptation. Could you guys wait another year for part 7? Based on this trailer, it might be for the best. But you can check out my previous video for more discussion on the actual release and if they're gonna do weekly or batches. And then for the rest of the event, we just had the voice actors welcomed on stage and talk about how they approached their role, the challenges they faced, and what the character and story meant to them. And they all spoke in high regards and sounded very knowledgeable about the stories, so no doubt they'll all give a killer performance. So after all of this time, it's finally here. The Steel Ball Run is real, and I'm very curious to hear everyone's thoughts on this trailer, the cast, and just everything surrounding this new season. Based on what we've seen so far, it could be one of the best JoJo parts, or maybe one of the worst. It's gonna be a journey either way, and I'll be here every step of the way. And my personal feelings on stuff like this, not saying this is what it's gonna be, just that I don't really care that much about flashy animation or Sakuga impact frames, and what may come off as complaints in this video is really just observations on what I'm seeing in the anime. I'm okay with however it turns out and will enjoy it very much regardless, as the manga is and always will be a masterpiece, so my hope is just that this anime does that story and characters justice. I don't want to skip or change anything too much or mess it up in any way, just an adaptation of one of my favorite stories, and I'll be happy with that. So thank you all so much for watching this video, my just initial impressions on Steel Ball Run. I'll definitely have more to come as we chew on this a little longer or if they reveal anything new, so definitely stay tuned. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to y'all real soon in my next video. Until then, I'm out. Peace.